Hi there, as I promised, I'll be getting to the mage stuff after the cleric stuff. Most of the cleric stuff is done for the guild forums. So this is starting of the mage. Figured I'd start with a few of the Archon specs. Um, Stormcon is kind of dead in the water with the recent changes to Harb and even the nerfs to Stormlocust in Stormcaller. So we've been using again Pyrochon, which has 36 Archon or Harbcon. I know a lot of you guys are more familiar with Pyrochon, so I'll just kind of go over mine first. And bear with me as I port to Dimension for Dummies and check to make sure what gear that I didn't save. Because with switching it told me that couldn't load all the items. Okay, it looks like I have all the right gear on. So as you can see though, I am in a Pyrocon spec, sitting around my 2948 crit power, my 31.9% crit chance with almost 15,000 spell power. So bear in mind numbers will be different because of your gear as well. But we'll get into the spec first. So I'm using 0 as a Harbinger Soul, so that way you get the Lightning Charge buff, which can proc a little bit extra damage. As I said, it's a 36 Archon. So going from bottom up, in the first tier we have 4 points in Soulfire, 3 points in Favorite Ally, 3 points in Strength of Stone, 5 points in Vital Assistance, 2 points in Altruist, 2 more points in Speed and Numbers, 3 in Empowered Aegis, 1 in Earth and Barrage, 5 in Rising Vengeance, 2 in Earth and Shards. We then have 2 in Power and Numbers, and of course the 1 in Lava Field. After that we have 2 in Lava Spout, and the last point being 1 in Inspiration. Then we have our points in Pyro, 1 Improved Bolt, 5 in Ignition, 3 in Fiery Concentration, 3 in Burning Fury, and 3 in Burning Focus, 3 in Stoke the Flames, 3 in Innate Fire, 3 in Improved Flame Bolt, 1 in Pyromancer's Blessing, 2 in Pyromancer's Vengeance, 5 in Pyromania, 2 in Accelerant, 1 in Heatwave, 2 in Spark, and 3 in Pyromancer's Fury. So those are the point spreads. Obviously you can pause the video, see where the points are to spend. For masteries, using Arcanist Shield, Healing Exigency, Combat Clarity, Calculated Annihilation, and then Arcane Manipulation. So for some people that find it easier to play with macros, obviously I always say, read over the talents, make sure what they do and how it influences the spec. So, and some people's playstyles, they don't like macros, so if you don't like macros, feel free not to use them. But for Pyrochon, Oh, sorry, I was actually had a few macros here for my soloing spec that I used to clear the level 50 raids. Still sometimes can be quite useful to have a cleanse macro since Archon does have that. We cast Purification at group 0-1 all the way to group 0-20 would cleanse everybody in a 20 man raid, of course, 1 GCD, so to cleanse one thing. Cast at ground target AoE, cleansing flames. This is another cleanse. It is not set to purge, so it only is a cleanse. Other than that, we do have the main pyrochon macro. So I have it to show volcanic bomb, suppress macro failures, cast itself, arcane manipulation. This will allow you to target switch and not waste arcane manipulation. I also have it there so that way if you have something targeted, you don't have to detarget it to preload arcane manipulation. As now I do have arcane manipulation on. I didn't cast anything at the boss, so I didn't pull aggro or start a fight. Reason for preloading this is that it lasts for 30 seconds and the cooldown is 30 seconds, so obviously if you use it 15 seconds before the tank pulls, it will be a little bit more DPS that you can squeeze in. After that, cast Inferno, which is below 40% health type ability. Volcanic Bomb, Earth Barrage, Countdown, Fireball, Flame Bolt, and then Searing Vitality. Only reasons Flame Bolt and Searing Vitality are there at the very bottom after Fireball is that they're instants that you can use on the move. I do suggest having Flame Bolt also out on a bar. As you can see, it's on the macro. It is also on my bar as number 3 as an 8-second cooldown. And it does buff you to increase your damage with other abilities, so you always want to make sure that you have the Flame Bolt buff on. So that's why I suggested outside of the macro. But if you're moving, it's good to have it in the macro, so that way you're casting some harder hitting stuff than spamming Searing Vitality. The only other macro I really use with Pyrochon is a Heatwave macro. Very similar to the normal macro. So all this does really is Heatwave is a 1-minute cooldown for the next 15 seconds. It reduces cast time of fire spells and reduces the mana cost of them by 30%. Fireballs also do not consume stacks of Pyromancer's Fury while Heatwave is active. That means that you can really cast very fast fireballs. So because of that, the main thing is Heatwave is filled with fire spells. So have it set to cast Heatwave first, and then we'll use Inferno, that's if it's below 40% health, Volcanic Bomb, Fireball, and then if you have to move, it has the Flame Bolt and Searing Vitality in the bottom of it as well. So really there's only 2 casted spells for, and then there's an instant Inferno for below 40% health. So all you're really doing is casting Volcanic Bomb that has, I believe, something like a 15 seconds. Yep, 15-second cooldown, cast of 1.6 seconds. So you'll cast Volcanic Bomb and then you'll just spam fireballs. That's where a lot of your damage comes from, is utilizing Heatwave to the best. So those are the 2 macros that I use with Pyrochon. As you can see, I have quite a few different things on my bar. Some of the common macros that are useful for every Archon spec is, of course, a yell saying when your flaring power is up, and a way to easily cast Lava Field. Um, Lava Field is a ground target AE, so macros you want the at GTAE. With that though is you can't have two at commands in the same line, so how I got around this is I have one command line targeting myself. I then cast Lava Field, and then I target the last target, and it does a yell out. This happens simultaneously as you press the button. It does all of those. So you'll target yourself, cast it at yourself, and then you'll retarget whatever you had and keep DPSing on it. This macro is really great to drop Lava Field where you are currently standing. If you need to drop it somewhere else, you might want a different macro that just has the cast at GTAE if you want to cast it at some target. Or you might just want it on your bar so that way you can click it and then move your mouse to wherever you want the ground target to be, which of course is the slowest method. So other than that is also an interrupt macro, since we do have Scorch from the Pyro tree. We do have internalized charge from Pyro as well, which helps boost our damage of our next 6 damaging spells within 30 seconds by 16%. It adds, as I said, 6 stacks, so once it's off, you want to reuse internalized charge. It has no global cooldown, so you can easily use it before casting another spell. We, of course, also have Pillaging Stone, Searing Vitality. I have it here to pre-buff myself before fights, so that way I can get a little bit more DPS in. The Pillaging Stone is also debuff on your targets, so want to use that at least on a target where Searing Vitality is very weak damage, but it does give you stacks of endurance, which is always very helpful because, as you know, our auras actually reduce our stats to benefit other people's. So Searing Vitality helps offset the Shared Vigor aura. We of course have our debuffs as well. We also know Ashen Defense and Crumbling Resistance. Those are the 5-minute debuffs that you want to debuff the targets that will stay up for a long time, which is pretty much every boss. Illuminate is normally the Bard or the Oracle will cover that, but their versions pull aggro, where ours does not. So before a fight, you could use Illuminate, and then just forget about it during the fight, unless the Bard or Oracle actually dies, and then you might be asked to cover with using Illuminate. So I do suggest having it on the bar and knowing that you can, before the pull, apply it to the boss. It only lasts 20 seconds, which is why the Archon does not consistently debuff with that, because the Bard and Oracle is a 1 minute, which is 40 seconds longer. As well, Breakthrough is always good. We do have as well a shield from the Pyro, Burning Shield, absorbs 50% of the damage up to, well, with my stats, 13.2k health, or damage anyways. Breakthrough is always good on the bar as well. There are some fights where Rift Tomb is actually useful for CC during fights. Fights where ads come out and the ads are CCable, so it's considerate to have it on the bar. So that's kind of just going over the quick and dirty of the spec and macros. Obviously you can see how I have it laid out on my bars as well. My top bar I kind of click, I have it set to control modifier, but I'm not exactly inept at using that as I play. I'm trying to get there, but not there yet. I then have my shift bar, which is very easy to use as I play, and then my main bar as well. However you feel comfortable playing and how you have your own set, you might want to change stuff. But to me, this makes sense for me. you gotta make sense for yourself and your playstyle. I can't help you there too much. So as we see, like my endurance, health 77920, of course if I use the shared vigor buff, it dropped down a little. And then the Vitality of Stone aura reduces our main stats and off stats as well. Intelligence, dex, all that sort of stuff. So see how I'm at 7,677. Well, it up, I dropped down a little bit. So as I said, that's kind of why before pulls as well, it's kind of nice to cut as much buffs as you can up previously. So I'm just going quickly, get some buffs here. Okay, so I got my 5 stacks and for both Searing Vitality and Pillaging Stone. Just going to run out great combat here. So, as always, as I said, you kind of want to preload the 65 Mastery, Arcane Manipulation. You want to get your stacks of Eternalized Charge before the pull too, and that way that allows your charge to kind of get up a little. After that, though, is pretty much in most boss fights, your first 2 global cooldowns. I'll do that as a pre-pull with Illuminate, but your first 2 normally are Crumbling Resistance, Ashen Defense, Flaring, and depending on the fights, Lava or Orchestra. You then want to get your Archon other buffs up that are in the spam macro, Volcanic and Earthen Barrage. It's also good to debuff with Pillaging Stone, and then pretty much is you can start casting your fireballs. Of course, watch your Eternalized Charge. Make sure that you have stacks of that. And then as soon as Heat Wave's off, as you saw my K alert went away for that, you want to just go back to your normal spam macro. As I explained, I kind of don't hit things as I should. I don't have all the K alerts that I normally do for Pyro in this build. I can easily put those macros in. So of course this spec is does a lot better when you can stand still a lot and you have the time to do your casts. A lot of Archon abilities are always kind of more like the turret style play. But as you can see, like above 55 to 60k is probably what I was doing sustained. I might do a little bit more when I was, if I'm not paying attention to trying to explain. But really, like that's all you really do is you try and keep up the Flame Bolt buff on yourself, and then you just alternate between your cooldown burn type macro and then your spam macro. Whenever Heat Wave's up, of course, if you can time it with some raid cooldowns, that is always the best thing to do. As you can see, I have a few different K alerts, of course, just to kind of show you here. Ashen Defense and Crumbling Resistance, they apply a debuff onto the boss, but they also apply buffs to you. So I have them tracking the two buffs. You want to track the debuffs on the boss yourself. Um, as you can see over here, I have some information called with an add-on called Choco's cooldowns. Very good things. These two right here, crumbling resistance and the action defense, it will show you when the debuffs are starting to come off that they need to be reapplied. Coward of Coitus is kind of in the middle of them. Really good add-on just to watch kind of cooldowns anyways, but otherwise it's pretty easy to see, as you can see right now on this raid boss practice dummy. 1 minute left of Crumbling Resistance, 1 minute left of Ashen Defense, and 1 minute of the Pillaging Stone. Those debuffs all last for 5 minutes, so fights that take longer than 5 minutes, you'll have to refresh those debuffs and also refresh your auras. So gotta be mindful of those. That's also why I have the Sheer Vitality of Stone K alert here. I always apply that one first, and then I apply the other one after. So that way, this one tracks how long of those 5 minutes I have left. And, you know, when it's under 10 seconds, you want to make sure that it gets reapplied and doesn't fall off. Searing Vitality K alert to make sure that I have stacks and that those stacks don't fall off. Pillaging Stone, again, time for making sure that I have the 5 stacks and the stacks don't fall off. Proc for Cinderburst, kind of just like Pyro is with your Pyromancer's armor buff. Cinderburst will proc where it is instant cast. So I have Cinderburst as my number 4, and I just, whenever it procs, hit it. Make sure that you do have Eternalized Charge, though. It is your hard-hitting spell other than when you're using Heat Wave to spam fireballs. Heat Wave macro and Eternalized Charge, K alerts, of course, are up. Just bear with me a second. Try and figure out. Set 3, okay. So just try and remember and get some K alerts over to make it a little bit easier for some other people. Now that I've made a couple more here, countdown, you don't really have to worry too much. It explodes after 8 seconds, and I believe we don't have, we don't have Searing Bolt to blow up countdown. For Pyro, I do watch countdown, so I can use my Searing Bolt to blow up countdown. Of course, you won't have to worry about that with the pyrochon. Other than, which is that one that looks kind of like the timed one. Flame Bolt, though, is the buff that you keep up. And then these two buffs over here, one makes your fireballs cast faster, and then the other one procs your, has a higher chance to proc your Cinderburst. So see, you have improved Flame Bolt buff. It lasts for 9 seconds, I believe. The cooldown of Flame Bolt is 8 seconds. So that's another reason why you want to make sure that it's on your bar, is to keep this buff up. Why I also went around looking for those K alerts from my Pyro set to move over, is that it could help you min-max your DPS with this spec to know if you're lacking some of those buffs. So as you can see here, I have 4 stacks now of this one here. Look at the one that's Pyromancer's Fury, reducing the cast time of our fireballs by 0.5 seconds and increasing its damage by 30%. So obviously, when you're in doing Heat Wave, you kind of want this at 5 stacks. Your fireballs will be very, very fast then. And pretty much all your abilities that aren't Fireball will give you a stack of that. And then if you were casting fireballs, it would take stacks off. So I'll just kind of cast a fireball like this. As you can see, 1 stack off. Fireballs then give you this buff here, Pyromancer's Vengeance, which increases the chance for Pyromancer's Blessing to affect Cinder Burst by 4% per stack. Max is 5 stacks as well. And that just means that you have a 20% more chance to get an instant Cinder Burst compared to the normal what Pyromancer's armor gives you from the talents, which I believe is 20 or 30%. At 20% chance to reset the cooldown, Cinder Burst, allow it to be cast instantly and reduce its mana cost by 50. 2% per stack, 5 stacks, so 10%. So in total, you have a 30% chance to get Cinder Bursts. Really, that is, as I said, to min-max, so I do have some K alerts to kind of help people watch a few things that they might not be aware of to improve their DPS. As always with the guides, I will post the K alert set, so you can just copy and paste and import into your K alerts. That's it for Pyrochon. Next I will make a Hardcon video. It is a melee build, so it does also play slightly different. It is more favorable, more higher DPS than Pyrochon, so bear that in mind. There's a couple variants of it that I've been told. But stopping this video now, and we'll see you with the next video.